A friend of mine asked me to make some inexpensive topiaries for her wedding decor. They'll be displayed at the reception, and at the end of the night, she plans to give them away to her family and friends. I'm using her wedding colors, but any colors would look beautiful. And if you don't need these for a wedding, they also work great for inexpensive home decor. Getting started, I'm using 4 bunches of the blue hydrangeas and 4 bunches of the roses. And also 1 stem of these pretty blue flowers. I'm using a 7.5-inch tin planter, but you can use any size that you would like. I'm using the largest spoon out of this 4-pack of plastic spoons. I'm using a 10-inch styrofoam ball that I had on hand. If you don't have a styrofoam ball, you can use one of the square styrofoam cubes from the Dollar Tree and just kind of round it off on the edges. In addition to the styrofoam ball, you'll also need one of the square styrofoam cubes. I'm also using some of these white rocks just to weigh down the planter, but you can use anything that you have on hand. And all these supplies I found at the Dollar Tree. You'll need some type of paint for the planter and some Mod Podge. I'm also adding these little sprigs of white flowers, along with this pretty 7/8 inch sparkly blue ribbon and this 1.5 inch sparkly champagne colored ribbon. And I found all of these at Michael's. Getting the flowers ready for the topiary, I removed all the roses from the stems. And once that was done, I then removed the leaves. And now all you're going to do is place the hole in the leaf back over the short stem of the rose. You're going to do this for all your roses. Once that's complete, you're going to remove the hydrangeas from their stems. This part of the project is easy. Using our glue gun, we're going to attach the roses and the hydrangeas to the styrofoam ball. I prefer to use a glue gun when I'm making a topiary. You can just press the flowers into the styrofoam ball, but sometimes they do fall out. Using a glue gun pretty much assures they stay in place. I continued on the pattern of covering the ball with first a rose and then a hydrangea, and then a rose and then a hydrangea until the styrofoam ball was completely covered with the flowers. Once all the flowers are attached to the styrofoam ball, I'm then adding some of the leaves from the hydrangea stems as an additional accent. I cut them in half and then randomly hot glued them here and there. Once that's complete, it's now time to paint our planter pot. Once it had completely dried, I added a coat of Mod Podge. I used the matte finish, and this will protect the painted surface from scratching. Once the planter is completely dry, it's now time to add the floral foam. I measured the block at the opening, and this gave me an idea of how much I needed to remove from the sides of the block. I gave it a try and then went back to cut off a bit more. Cutting that little bit extra made it a perfect fit. Now there are no worries of it moving when we add the topiary. Before we add it permanently to the pot, we're going to add in some of these white rocks. The topiary is a bit top heavy, and these rocks will give the base some stability. I'm running some lines of hot glue around the base of the styrofoam block, and then I'm placing it inside the planter pot. To add the topiary stem, find an opening in the flowers, place a small dab of hot glue, then push the side without the spoon through the hot glue and into the center. Now it's time to add it to the base. I pressed the spoon side into the center of the block. I then cut out the indentation with my knife. Once the well was large enough, I then placed the spoon end inside. To make sure that the topiary stem doesn't move, I used my glue gun and just secured it with some hot glue. I'm going to cover the base with some additional flowers. I'm adding these small white flowers that I found at Michael's, along with 5 of these flowers that I've already removed from the stem, and some of the leftover hydrangea. I'm going to be placing a bow on the front. So I placed 2 stems into the center and off to the side. I then used my glue gun to hold them in place. There were 5 individual flowers on this stem, and I just placed the other 3 evenly around the pot and then just secured them in place with my glue gun. Once that was complete, to cover the styrofoam base, I used some of my leftover hydrangea. And once again, using my glue gun, I just secured the pieces to the top of the styrofoam, making sure to cover all of the white. To add the little white sprig accent, all I did was remove them from the end of their stems. I used my hot glue gun and just glued them in here and there to break up some of the blue color. Once I was done, I had a handful of the little white flowers left over, so I decided to add them to the topiary. Once again, using my glue gun, I randomly secured them into place here and there. Once all the flowers were added, it was now time to add the bow. Adding the bow and the ribbon accent to the planter pot, all I'm doing is wrapping the ribbon around the pot and then cutting it off. Now that I have the correct length, I'm going to cut the same length in the blue ribbon. I'm adding 3 dots of glue, 1 at each end and 1 in the middle to secure the ribbons together. Once you're done, all you need to do is add a little glue to the back of the pot, making sure that it is the halfway point or the center of the ribbon. Attach it to the glue. Now bringing both ribbons around, you're going to use your glue gun to attach them to the pot. We're now going to cut 2 pieces of each ribbon at 10 inches each. Fold each ribbon in half and then secure them together with a little dot of hot glue. We're just making a simple bow for this project, and all I'm going to do is just fold this ribbon in half, open it up, and place a little dot of hot glue on the crease. Then all you need to do is fold one side in, add another little dot of hot glue, and fold the other side on top of it. Now when you turn it around, you have the beginning of your bow. Fold the bow in half and find the center. Then give it a little squeeze and twist the ribbon together. I wrapped a small piece of the sparkly blue ribbon around the center of the bow and then cut it. Once again, using your glue gun, you're going to attach the two pieces of small ribbon to each other. I'm now cutting two additional 7-inch pieces of both ribbons. Once again, I'm folding them in half and attaching them together with a small dot of hot glue. Once again, you're going to find the center of the ribbon. You're going to start to pinch it and fold it down. And by doing this, you're making two tails for the bow. Turning your bow to the back side, you're going to attach the two ribbon tails simply by using a little dot of hot glue. You can leave the ends of the bow straight or dovetail them. I'm going to cut mine at an angle. Now that our bow is complete, all that's left to do is add it to the topiary. I placed some hot glue onto the back of the bow and then attached it to the topiary pot. These flowers are ready to make their appearance at the wedding. Thanks for hanging out with me. I hope you had fun. You know I always have a blast every time you stop by. If you haven't yet subscribed and you'd like to come hang out with me again, please don't forget to click that little red subscribe button below, and I will see you soon. Bye, everybody.